Hello everybody, welcome to another episode. Let me take the mask off just for a second here. There's nobody around me. Gonna let you all connect here. I had to pull an audible today for this episode because I showed up at my predetermined location and it was not doable, and I'll share with you why in a moment. So we had to find another plan B right away, and I think it'll be all right. Still waiting to see some live viewers. I don't see you there at the moment. This has been a recurring glitch, I'm afraid, where I can't see my live viewers. Definitely gonna have to resolve that. So somebody can send me a message and let me know if you are in fact connected, because I can't see you. Let's see. So if you're watching on the replay, bear with me. You might want to fast forward a few seconds until I get this squared away. At least the sun is shining here for this shot. Is there anybody there? I don't see. Yes, we see you. Okay, Jacqueline. That's all I needed to know. So this is a recurring glitch that really needs to get resolved. I'm not going to be able to do this again because I like to see you folks there. I mean, it's nice to know that you're there, but I want to see that you're there. So anyway, let me jump right into it. This is not where I planned for this episode to be today. We're not far away, but as you know, I was supposed to do the colors and creatives of Sainte-Marthe here in the 10th arrondissement. When I got here about an hour ago, just to prep and get everything squared away, I came across this. Actually, let me show you. This is the street that I wanted to show you. This is what it looks like at this moment. It's a protest of sorts. It's a manifestation, and it is the people of this area that are trying to protect it from large-scale corporate investors who want to come in and jack up the rents and kick everybody out. So as you can see, this street isn't really doable today as a live tour, and something that I get a kick out of the fact that they put no cops zone, but they did it obviously in English, which means that it's not necessarily intended for the actual French cops, but more for perhaps just to, I don't know, for a bit of effect, maybe for a bit of dramatic effect. So it's nothing violent at all. It's a peaceful protest, but you can see La rue n'est pas à vendre means the street is not for sale. So I mentioned when I announced this episode that this is a neighborhood that is really at risk of vanishing under those raised rents and the extra gentrification and all of those chain stores and things, and they're really trying to keep it authentic. In fact, this was another sign that we saw, or that I saw a few minutes ago. So this is for Paris Populaire, which means in French more like of the people, and then of course ecological, and then solidaire, supportive. And then here's one last zoomed in. So yeah, it wasn't loud, it wasn't violent, there wasn't a ruckus, but people are definitely trying to fight and keep the atmosphere and the convivial sort of community aspect to this neighborhood, and hopefully they'll succeed. You can see a little glimpse of the colors here that I want to share with you, almost like sort of a Rue Sainte-Marthe type of vibe, and I think that that's pretty charming stuff. So why are we here? What is this? This is our plan B. This is called the Hôpital SaintLouis, and I think this is going to be quite a fun discovery for many of you, because this is a place that is more or less inaccessible. Right, steps from the Canal Saint-Martin. So we're right in the 10th arrondissement. And I used to bring tour clients into this courtyard of this hospital, still a functioning hospital. But then after the 2015 terrorist attacks, they closed off the gate that is on the canal side. So it was very, very hard just to physically enter this place. But you can reach it from the backside, and so that's what we did today. And, it's very peaceful and quiet. And as you can see, the architecture here is really dynamite. We're in the main courtyard. Let me give you the pan. Very blustery day, perhaps you can see that. And there's a grand garden space here. So I didn't exactly, again, I had to pull an audible, a very quick plan B, but there's some nice visuals here, and I admit I didn't have as much time to prepare everything that I would normally say about this place, so I'm just gonna wing it today. You may know, or you may note that the architecture here is a little bit familiar. It's very similar to Place des Vosges and Place Dauphine, and that's because it's the same time period, it's the same king, Henry IV, Henri IV. And I'm going to put my mask on just to be respectful, because that is the rule here in the hospital, on the grounds. So let's take a little walk. So of course, as you know, in the 1500s, it was the Renaissance, but Paris was still really a maze of very dirty and dangerous and infested medieval streets. And these little alleyways and whatnot. So these plagues would come through Paris, and they would just obviously devastate the city, just like so many other parts of Europe. And so Henri IV decided in 1607 to have a hospital constructed, which today is of course within the city limits of Paris, but at the time far outside of the borders of Paris. And so the idea was to take those plague victims, and of course you would put them as far away as you could so they couldn't contaminate the rest of the city, and they put walls all around this. It was really one of the first hospitals that had walls built all around all the perimeters, and so you literally couldn't get out. Whether if you were a patient or even a caretaker, you were literally not allowed out, and there were guards to keep everybody in. So that was 1607 under King Henry, and thank goodness he did build it, because a few short years later in 1618 there was the Great Plague of 1618 in Paris, and there were over 68,000 deaths. And there probably would have been many, many more had it not been for this hospital. It's called the Hôpital SaintLouis. Saint-Louis, another medieval king. And interestingly, Saint-Louis died from the plague, as I understand it. So that's one good reason to name it after Saint-Louis. What a lovely spot here. So same materials as the Place Dauphine and the Place des Vosges. Very indicative of Paris in the early 1600s. And because you weren't allowed to leave this hospital, it became the city's very first self-sustaining hospital, in that they were able to grow all their own food, probably likely right where we are right now. They'd grow food and medicine, and it was really, they were able to sustain themselves with a very minimal amount of outside contact. And here on the second floor here is where most of the patients would stay all along. And down in the bottom there would be offices and storage and whatnot. I found a little patch of sun. That feels quite nice. It's gotten very cold. It's clear that summer is no longer with us in Paris. Large spaces like this sort of quad, this concourse here, was also designed, of course, for the patients to be able to come out and get some fresh air and to have a walk around, which people still do. This is a working hospital that's been modernized inside, and happens to, interestingly linked to its past, it's mostly a dermatological hospital, or at least they have a very large unit where they still deal with a lot of skin ailments and diseases. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Again, because of the glitch, I don't know how many of you there are, and I can't see your comments today, and I can't see if you're sending super chats, etc., but please know that I am very thankful for that. Okay, how about there's still more to this area. There's a chapel that we won't be able to go into, but we'll be able to admire it from the outside. So again, if you're just joining, we're in the 10th arrondissement, and this was my plan B that I had to come up with very quickly when I realized that the original street that I wanted to show you today had a bit of a protest going on. Just beautiful, and you can see these benches where on a day like this, if you're able to catch a little bit of sunlight, you're doing all right. This here, which is facing the canal, back up a little bit. This building is a little bit more elaborate than the others. Let's thread the needle here. So that's the canal. If you were to go, that's the entrance that used to be open to the public, but no longer is. So you really have to wrap all the way around, and very few people ever do. Certainly very few visitors and tourists ever do. So we're going to walk down that. That's beautiful. Huh? You can starting to see the autumn colors. Actually, this all along here is just the shadow of the leaves, which I think is creating a beautiful pattern. Look at that. Woo! Screenshot that. So, again, what was meant to be the sort of grand entrance to the quad would be this. Almost identical to those other squares that I mentioned. From the same period and under the same king. It's actually quite a treat for me to walk through here, because I used to do it often. And I was very sad when I realized that they closed the original entrance to the public. And I understand obviously why they did in 2015, but now 5 years later, I'm still a bit surprised. I guess they're just playing it safe. And of course, now with the pandemic, I guess they're going to be closing more doors than they open. But isn't that stunning? Look at this. Let's get the dumpster out of the way. Now that's a hospital. That is a hospital. I'm gonna walk it through there in a moment. It's very, very quiet here. I love me some good archways. Look at that. Yes, 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 yes. This brings back good memories of the first time I discovered this spot. Oh, look here. Just the original wooden beams. Sometimes at Place des Vosges, you'll see wooden beams like this that are hand painted, and you can still see traces. But here, I think for the hospital, they never bothered to put decoration on that. But it's interesting, these are definitely the same exact materials. If you've got a decent internet connection, don't forget to change the settings on your video to 1080p to the or at least the maximum resolution that you can get with your device. Might help sharpen things up for you. Of course, every old hospital needs a chapel. I'd imagine that centuries ago, if you managed to build a hospital without a chapel built into it, you'd probably ask yourself, well, what's the point? If I can't go pray my disease away, then why am I even here? So the brick, by the way, obviously, some of you know this already, but an absolute sign of wealth and sophistication and grandeur at this time. Again, this is all early 1600s. This is a good 4 centuries old, a lot of this architecture. And here's the back of the chapel. So King Henri IV laid the first stone of this. Probably a nice little PR day for him. And then later when he died, of course, you may remember that Henry IV, the king, was brutally assassinated in the streets in 1610. Just a few years after this hospital, he put this hospital into motion. Put the wheels in motion. So when he died, there was a funeral mass here before the king. Because this must have been, I would assume, one of the symbols. This hospital was one of the symbols that Henri IV was really doing a lot to modernize Paris and help the city. He was a king of the people. I would take you around to the front of this chapel, but it's actually, there's not a lot going on the front. There's not a whole lot of sculpture or anything. You can only get into this by reservation. However, there is a website, maybe I'll put a link in the description later on, where you can get, if you can understand French at least, you'll get a breakdown of the interiors. It's always good to practice your French listening skills. We're gonna go through there. There are other modern buildings that have been attached over the years. As I said, this is still a functioning hospital, but of course we're focusing just on the old stuff today. I love when the brick gets dirty. Love me some dirty brick and limestone. This is what all of Paris would look like, by the way, if they never bothered to clean it. Oh, look at that thing. Sorry, I wanted to show you. That guy was riding like a triple tandem bike. So hopefully this is a bit of a discovery for many of you that might not normally come across this space. The Hôpital SaintLouis. Let us go back into the quad area. Look at this. This is the only open door that I've found. Should we go in? Should we go up? Just a closed door. Unfortunately, no payoff. Great stairs though. Yeah. The alley of Henry IV. Ooh, that's old. It's just hand painted. Let's make one more pass through the quad here before we round things up. Oh man, look at this. Gotta do a panorama from here. Has quite a regal feel to it. I like that. I always imagine the municipality and the city planners going up to a king hundreds of years ago and saying, "So king, what do you think? Under your reign, should we build a mediocre hospital or a really grand, luxurious one?" And he'd be like, "Mediocre, not on my watch. Are you kidding me? I got a reputation to uphold." Let me show you just one random little thing. Actually, I have two random things to show you. There's always an extra random little thing kicking around. A lot of chestnuts on the ground right now. Everything's pointing toward an autumnal vibe. So under this tree specifically, birdhouses. L'Arbre à Nichoir. Artists of the Association of Colors at the hospital. Okay, there you go. So this is a nice corner. Look at this big old gnarly tree. Wow, this thing's been around a while. Geez Louise, I mean, if this is a hospital of skin diseases, maybe they should check on this thing. Beautiful though, isn't it? Wow, look at that. I don't know if I've ever quite seen anything like this. Let's zoom in on this. Look at that, it almost looks fake. Like it's a plaster cast or something, but it's legit. There's a hole here. All kind of cool perspectives here. Here, hold on, to give you the autumnal feel. Why don't I cover you all in autumn leaves from Paris? There you go. Autumn in Paris. Hold on. A couple of benches for you. Contemplate your life and your goals. And your failures. No, don't contemplate your failures. They've already happened. No need to think about that. Okay, one last thing I want to show you, or maybe two last things. You know, the fact that a space like this is these are the parts of Paris that nobody ever sees. Like, nobody's ever really meant to see, as far if you're a visitor, if you're a traveler. And even a lot of the locals wouldn't even see if they weren't sick. So I just wanted to point out, and I'm going to try to zoom the camera. How do I do that? I don't know if you can make it out, but it says bain, which means the baths. So in addition to the chapel, of course, hospitals would often have the baths, which of course were medicinal in their own right. That building there's not much inside of it that we can see that's publicly accessible. I already checked that out to see if there was anything interesting for us, but no. So pretty. Let me show you one last little thing. I don't know if that's cool for you or just really annoying. I'm just trying to amuse myself at this point. But yeah, the fall color is definitely here. I mean, we never have amazing foliage colors in Paris. That doesn't just really happen all that much, but still it's nice to see the leaves changing. I like it. Now we're back around to what used to be the sort of main entrance. And I just wanted to point. It's small, but noteworthy. Love this perspective. So yeah, we've got a pretty little gate here. In fact, the building itself is cute. Try to. It's a little cottage. What a beautiful design. I wonder if this is original. It's real metal, people. Wow, that's glorious. Look at that. I want a wallpaper made out of that design. Of course, Charlotte would never allow me to hang it in our house, but I like this. I like when they do this to plain old walls. Chimneys, of course, everything would have to be heated with wood stoves originally. There you go, everybody. Short but sweet this episode, but I hope you enjoyed it. Some visuals and some different, a little bit of different atmosphere than you would normally be able to find and have access to. And that's the Hôpital SaintLouis, right next to the Canal Saint-Martin, which, by the way, this whole complex looks beautiful from the outside as well. So if you are near the canal, certainly make your way over here to the perimeter, even though you won't be able to access this portion here. Make sure that you just admire this from the outside. It's pretty as well. You see the same brick architecture. I don't know why my camera doesn't want to expose properly for that. There we go, we got it. So that's it, folks. If you are a Patreon member and you're in our Facebook group, the Cafe Chats group, why don't we pop over there now and maybe have a quick little walk along the canal and see what that vibe's all about today. Saturday along the canal, why not? So if you are a member of our Facebook group, go pop over there in about 5 minutes time and I will join you there. If you want to become a Patreon member and be part of our private community, etc., then I'll put a link to that in the description as usual. And I want to thank you, folks. I hope you have a lovely rest of your Saturday if you're leaving me for good today. And please check in next week where we'll have another live stream episode and hopefully that street that I originally wanted to show you today. But who knows, maybe they're going to be in a protesting mood next Saturday as well. And you know what, maybe they have every right to be. Again, I have no idea what my camera's doing here. There you go. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Remember, if you can't bring yourself to Paris, I'm going to bring Paris to you as much as I possibly can. And take care of yourselves. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.